This is Ramos. We listen, we tell, we inspire. This is
The 1003rd Infantry Brigade brilliantly crafted its strategic and tactical military and civil military campaign against the Sub-Regional Committee 5. The depth and the magnitude of the CPP-NPA's political and military influence in SRC 5 area of responsibility, particularly in Talaingo, Davao del Norte, portions in San Fernando and Kitaw-Taw, Bukidnon, and the hinterlands in Davao City, were carefully identified, researched, and analyzed. The brigade drastically transformed its units to become one with the masses. The great transformation of the armed men in reintegrating to the basic masses allowed them to patiently listen to the decades-long plights and sentiments of the grassroots. The resolute will to balance the 1003rd's triad operations, the strong unity of the Filipino against the CPP-NPA with the help of the NTF-ELCAC, and Peace 911 in Davao City resulted to the complete downfall of the SRC-5. More than hundreds surrendered, only one killed in action in just 5.5 months. With this, it decisively bannered the main objective of the campaign, the preservation of life. In 2022, Davao City and Davao del Norte were considered conflict resilience areas, a historical victory of the Filipino people, especially the Lumad, against the longest-running communist insurgency in Asia. During the victory declaration, the indigenous peoples, led by the tribal leader, solemnly offered their sanctified panubad-tubad to Magbabaya, their holy father, who watches over the tribe. They wished Magbabaya to prevent the pakaid or the internal chaos from drawing near them. Instead, it will alight among those who are fraudulent, who do not defend their land. They shared a brief tale of their experiences under the tyranny of the CPP-NPA and other oppressors. The Datu performs pakulab. He stretched one wing of the chicken in the direction of the local government units and the security forces. He uttered the words of safety, trust, and hope that they will be protected and will be given a better life. After which is the sacrifice of Ogis, frequently a white-feathered male chicken, which symbolizes want for goodness, not strife. Nevertheless, the people are currently in the most crucial phase of their defense of the ancestral territory against the CPP's re-infiltration. We have observed it in the numerous nations. The fate of the communists centers on the satisfaction and dissatisfaction of the toiling masses in the government system. As the new leaders have formally been declared and seated as public servants, the unwavering challenge is to advance social justice and genuine care for its people. Hence, we, the former rebels, now the peace champions of the 10th Infantry Division, highly recommend rejecting the national peace talks with the CPP, NPA, NDF. Resuming peace negotiations is a betrayal of the Filipino people and a disgrace to the nation's achievements in dismantling the CPP, NPA, NDF. Looking back, in August 2016, when President Rodrigo Duterte allowed the resumption of peace talks with the Reds, the Southern Mindanao Regional Committee gained the momentum to continue developing base-building strategies and tactics to expand its guerrilla mass base and to consolidate its existing territories thoroughly. The party used the state's current socio-economic and political climate to foster the conditions necessary for widespread mass demonstrations to take place throughout Southern Mindanao. The triumphant land occupation of some 5,000 members and supporters of the Madaom Agrarian Reform Beneficiaries, or MARBAY, in the Lapanday Foods Corporation in Tagum City, Davao del Norte, was one of the most significant uprisings led by the CPP. The NPA Regional Operations Command recorded more NPA officials and subordinates than any other time in the SMRC's history, totaling over 1,000 or a 20% increase. Furthermore, the SRC-5 Sub-Regional Operations Command rapidly built 4 platoon-sized guerrilla units and became the most numbered sub-regional unit of the SMRC. The NPA's military efforts against the AFP were constrained by the unilateral declaration of an interim ceasefire. However, an active military defense position was imposed and subsequent punitive actions were carried out against major corporations and businessmen to amplify its extortion efforts. Additionally, it attempted to bolster its intelligence operations against the armed government troops, drug lords, businessmen, and politicians who were opposed to the revolution. It served as a prelude to the anticipated collapse of the temporary ceasefire. 3 simultaneous attacks were launched by the SMRC ROC against the Lapanday Foods Corporation in Davao City on April 29, 2017. 1 fish vendor died as a result of the MPA's bombed explosion attack, while 700 to 1,000 citizens were rendered unemployed as a result of the equipment burning and firearms taken from the firm guards. The CPP, NPA, NDF will never compromise. Concessions are only made to advance its strategic plan. Such negotiations serve only the objective of propagandizing and are not actually intended to reach peaceful agreements with the GPH. The goal of negotiation is to buy time, to buttress a position in the military, political, social, and economic, and to wear down, frustrate, and harass the Filipino people, the state, and the security forces. Few, if any, crucial compromises should be anticipated from the devious organization whose only goal is to establish the conditions necessary to maintain its strategic line's unity and ensure the emergence of quote and unquote victorious situation. Therefore, if they are successful in capitalizing on the momentum in their favor, they will continue to commit acts of terror across the entire nation. This will disdain the people's blood and sweat shed in defense of our motherland against the CPP, NPA, and DF. The Filipino people of the Davao region is currently celebrating the long-awaited win against the CPP, NPA. Without participating in the phony peace talks, the 1003rd Brigade and the other units of the 10th Infantry Division, with the help of the local government units, tireless efforts were successful in building a solid social fence. Thus, this can be done across the nation. We must steadfastly uphold the current administration's push for good governance. The real driving force behind achieving social justice is a well-functioning government. Our government has a moral and legal duty to the people to promote social justice. The defeat of the CPP, NPA, NDF will be inevitable if the government sincerely attempts to address the underlying causes of violence and exploitation. The power of the people is the sole deciding factor that will ultimately put an end to the longest-running communist insurgency in history. Thank you.
This is